Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This is episode number 117, or so I am told. And I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay. And of course, I am here with my handsome friend, my best friend, Mr. Mike McLaughlin. How's it going, bud?
I'm good, you big handsome bastard. How are you?
Yes, you know, the routine. Keep him busy. I finally polished off my new book, which will be out on the 10th of August, I think.
That's a really quick turnaround for having just finished it.
It was slow. Oh, you mean in terms of getting it released?
Aye.
Yeah, well, that's because I kept, like, the book side of things has been done for a while, and it's been going through the edit and all of that, and firing it back and forth between me and the editors. But it's really sitting down and doing the audio. And, you know, I don't bother doing that until I know when it's getting released, because, you know, leave everything to the last minute, right?
No, I think you just like to make sure that your audio excerpts are correct to the syllabus. Is that a nice way to put it?
Yeah, well, and also you never know what's going to happen in the edit. Like, we ended up deleting a whole chapter, and it was because it was too hard, because it was way too advanced for the
book.
Yeah, for the audience of the book, because it's a hybrid picking book, and I went into like silly advanced stuff that just wasn't really necessary. And if I'd recorded all those examples and then cut the chapter, I would have been pissed. Whereas in the end, I could look at that, having a chapter of my work deleted, as a, well, at least I don't have to record that, because that was going to be a bastard.
I mean, the other side of the coin is you keep that for the next book.
Yeah. So never lose anything, or, you know, it just makes its way into a YouTube video, which is fine. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that, and that one will be fun. I also bought a new guitar, which, you know,
Tell me more.
Couldn't help myself. Couldn't help myself.
Tell me.
I mean, I've already
more.
shown it to you. I've already shown you.
Oh, did you get one?
I got one. Yeah.
No way.
So we had talked about this on the show. We looked at this on the show.
We did. And we both were kind of like, it's not exactly a traditional Telecaster, but it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, because I'm really into Telecasters, obviously, and I really like the look of a jazz box, you know. And this is trying to go for both of those vibes. And it's not quite there, and I didn't realise how quite not there it was. We pointed out in the show it only has one volume knob, which is odd for a jazz guitar. You'd kind of expect a tone knob. I had said that I wasn't crazy on the headstock. If I remember rightly, you liked the headstock on it.
It's quite plain, but it suits the guitar, I think. I really like the it's not faux binding, but the kind of offset binding.
Oh, on the neck, yeah.
And the headstock, the fact that it goes with both, I think it's really nice.
Yeah, it does help it pop. No idea how much this one would have cost, of course, because it's a master-built, custom shop, one-of-a-kind type thing, and it's already sold, so it wasn't up for public sale. But someone posted in the Telecaster group. They posted what they called a heavy metal. So there was the heavy metal tellies and heavy metal strats they did. In Japan, they started doing heavy metal thin line tellies. Yeah, they were doing thin line heavy metal tellies. More often than not, they were black. They came in lots of different varieties. Some of them had Void Roses on them. They all tended to have those old Strat headstocks.
But the black paint on the headstock?
Yeah.
Aye, cool. So they definitely fit in the heavy metal theme.
Yeah, but they also did some that kind of looked like this, but still had the silly black Strat headstock on them.
Okay.
And then in the mid-90s, Fender released the T-Lac 100, which is a similar type of, I mean, this is essentially what the heavy metal tellies were. They looked like that, but they didn't have the telly headstock on them. And I saw this and thought, I really like that. I don't know why, but I really like that. I see potential in that, is what I would say. I see a lot of potential in this to make this look a little bit more like a jazz guitar. But I showed this to you and you didn't like it, right? How do you feel like compares to the...
I don't know, to be honest. Maybe it's because the burst's so light on that photo.
Sure.
I'm quite funny about like tobacco bursts or whatever, but it could very easily be the photographs. I like the configuration. I think it's a really interesting guitar, at the very least. So you got one of these then?
Yeah, I didn't pay $14.99 for it.
Obviously not.
I picked one up direct from Japan, and it's just hasn't been played since having a refret. It's been refretted with jumbo frets, which I think will be cool. And yeah, I mean there are a few things about it that I'm not massively crazy on, and didn't realize this at the time. In my rush to get one, and thinking, wow, I could really make this look like a cool jazz guitar. It does definitely have an acoustic guitar's bridge on it.
It's because an acoustic,
an acoustic
sonic.
Yeah, the original Acoustasonic, if you like, from like '94. I am having a few modifications done to it, so I've reached out to our good friend Phil Cross,
Mm-hmm.
and Phil is going to be making a little rosewood scratch plate to go here
Oh,
to bring it
kind of
more
like
in
that,
line
yeah.
with that.
Oh, aye.
Which I think will help to set it apart. And in the long run, I would like to do something with this bridge to make it look again a little
Why
bit.
can I never tune in it?
Not make it look like that, because this is a custom thing, and actually I don't think that looks very jazz guitar-y.
I'm no big on that wee kind of bridge plate, but at
yeah.
the same time, it's not ugly.
It's a nice touch. It's nice that they did something special, but I don't think it fully hits the mark. Worth pointing out on this T-Lac, it is a traditional string through body and everything. It just looks like an acoustic bridge. So yeah, interesting to see what that looks and feels like when it shows up. Can't wait to show you guys. That one should be a lot of fun. How has your week been?
My week's been very interesting. I think I spoke about it last week, didn't I? The new year, when I got my amp and my cab.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we've been practicing for gigs coming up this weekend, which is so bizarre to say because it's the first gigs in 18 months. But that fucking amp, man, it's so violent. Like, at the moment, I've got my Duality DX and 4-channel mode, or 4-cable method rather, sorry. That and just my tuner into the amp, and to the point where, like, see when I'm not playing, you would think the amp's in standby. It is so quiet.
Yeah.
But then I've got the gain at less than half, and it's still so aggressive. It doesn't seem to have more gain. It just seems to saturate harder. It's not even a gain control at this point. It's insane. So we practiced last night. That was really, really good. It's nice to feel passionate about music again. I know I've said this a couple of times in the last couple of months, but it's getting into the studio and being excited about playing a set, timing it, getting the samples right, making sure you know the order of what we're going to do, and if we need to cut it, we're cutting this song, and if we've got an encore, we'll put this in. And so that's been really good. I was working the last couple of days, and it was interesting. I can't give away too much. The first 2 days were fairly quiet. The third day was spent pretty much sitting up a back road on Scotland's hottest day, completely unshaded for about 4 hours, and I have been fucking scorched.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's only my arm. My legs are much worse, and my neck is a fucking state. You can see the line right there.
Yeah.
I took a photo of the back of my neck where my lanyard was sitting for work. There was a big white line. So that was testing, and then it continued to be testing, and it was fun and games. So I'm not going to moan because I'm off now for another 8 days.
Nice.
Yesterday's my first day off. Yes, so I'm looking forward to my gigs and getting on with shit.
Good.
Nothing really too exciting to tell you.
Oh, okay, fine. I should probably also report, and people might have noticed from the shared screen that I did, that it is 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning. So this is the day of the podcast. I will endeavour to get this uploaded for everybody tonight. Today's going to be a hellish day. Today's going to be hellish, mate. And I will tell you why. Because the world has opened again. Freedom Day, not in Scotland, obviously. But
freedoms.
My gym's opened.
All right, so you're going to go and punish yourself?
So I'm going to go punish myself.
Amen.
Yay.
Amen.
Yay.
I might go for an open water swim later, actually. Nancy's going for one, but I'm not too sure. Like sunset dip. It's usually good fun. Only thing is, I don't know if I want to take the wee man.
Why?
I think the water will probably be too cold for him.
You think?
And he'll get fed up.
Okay.
But I don't mean like too cold for him to go in and play in. I mean like he'll go in, no bother, but then when he comes out, he'll be like chittering.
Oh, okay, sure.
You know what I mean? Because it's when we go for the dips before sunset, we do a breathing exercise before you get in the water to help you keep your body temperature up.
Sure.
And just like kind of resistance against the cold in the water. I don't imagine Finley's going to do that exercise with us.
Yeah.
I'll ask him later on, see what he says.
See if he knows how to breathe.
Hi, can you breathe, wee man? Breathe once for yes, breathe none for no.
Are you alive? Cool. So I'm going to do the usual routine. Did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs. Absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string. I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7, and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3, and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at Ormsby Guitars, at Rev Amplification, and our friends over at VPix. Anything you'd like to mention on that front?
Big thanks to everybody. I was very lucky to get some dimensions, and I've been having fun with them. Beautiful. I can't get over how beautiful a plectrum it is.
Oh, the like the blue swirly type thing. Yeah, the cosmic swirl, I think you call
exactly. For whatever reason in my head, thinking I was being funny, I was about to say, it's enough to give you pick envy.
Yeah.
But no, it's too early in the morning for shit patter.
Also, I could then just get my box of, a pound worth of picks, and I mean in terms of weight, not in terms of money, and just pour it. I can give anyone pick envy me. So the only envy I'm giving people. So thank you very much to those guys. We are going to start the show today by, well, actually, I didn't have this up as an actual story to talk about. I have seen that some of my, I don't want to say right-wingy pals. That's definitely not the right way to describe it. But like, obviously, my social media, my Facebook runs the gamut of everybody. And so I'm scrolling through my feed, and I saw somebody that I know to be pretty right-leaning, making fun of the Foo Fighters,
right?
Because they were putting on those, concerts for you had to be vaccinated to go to the concert. You see that those concerts?
I'd kind of heard about it. I don't think I'd seen it as an official story.
The sort of things that conspiracy theorists would or anti-vaxxers would be like, that's nonsense type thing. Those gigs have been cancelled now, unfortunately.
Why?
Because somebody in the vaccinated band has got COVID.
Oh.
Yeah. So wah, wah, wah. I've seen that a couple of times actually over the last week. Seeing I mean, it's almost like it's. I don't think reporting the truth is bad, but I would also argue that it's highly irresponsible to highly publicize anytime somebody that's vaccinated gets COVID. You know what I mean? Because then that just adds to people just being like, well, I'm just not going to do anything about it then.
It definitely adds to the misunderstanding. Just so we're very clear, the vaccine doesn't stop you getting it. It makes the symptoms much less. That's the gist of it. It's to protect you. It can't stop it.
Yeah. So but on the Foo Fighters front,
yes,
Dave Grohl has started a new music project called the DGs. I'm not going to play the audio for obvious reasons. I should also mention, actually, Anywhere Door, the Bumblefoot thing that we did.
Yeah.
Fuck those guys.
Why?
That got us a copyright strike. Yeah, so I literally just cut the audio out. So when that part happened on the show, it was just silent. So
all right, fair enough.
Fuck those guys. Yeah, let's hope.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no, exactly. Buttholes. So the DGs.
You say it's a new musical project. That's definitely all the Foo Fighters.
Yes, yeah. With a few more other people. The DGs is a 80s disco inspired covers band. Here they are doing "You Should Be Dancing," and
by the Bee Gees, obviously.
Yeah.
Dancing,
I mean,
yeah. It's a tremendous cover.
It's live in studio. They're having a lot of fun. Dave's voice is pretty fucking ropey in places, but it is a project that they have, and there is a reason for this project. And the reason for the project is they are releasing a whole album called Hail Saturn.
By the DGs.
By the DGs. And it's a special promo album that's available for, what is it, World Record Day? Record Store.
Record Store Day, okay.
Yeah, Record Store Day. So, it's a... Well, I'll bring it up and you can read off the track list then for people.
Sure. Side A of the DGs is You Should Be Dancing, Night Fever, Tragedy, Shadow Dancing, More Than a Woman. I'd love to hear Dave Grohl singing More Than a Woman. And side B is Making a Fire, Shame, Shame, Waiting on a War, No Son of Mine, and Cloud Spotter. I think, based on the single, man, I think this is going to be really good.
Yeah.
I'm interested, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Saying that, I am an absolute Dave Grohl hooer.
Sure.
I just love everything he does, man. I think he's class.
Sure. I can't fully get on board with the £32 for the album type thing.
I think a lot of it's you're paying for is the sleeve and stuff as well, because for the looks of it and what it says here, it's like a holographic rainbow finish on it.
Right.
No doubt it'll be something ridiculous in there as well.
Yeah.
Even I would even go as far as to say I think that the vinyl itself will be something special.
Sure. And you are unable to, from what I can see, you're unable to order it anywhere online. You do need to go into a record shop on...
Which is the point for Record Store Day.
On July 17th, which has happened. So if you've not got it, then you're shit out of luck. Shit out of luck type thing. It's one of those things, I guess my way of looking at things like this is like, I love special edition-y type things. I love unique things like this. I like the Record Store Day type thing that they're going for here.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I don't like the exclusionary, that feels like the right way of describing it, the exclusionary nature of this. Like, if you don't have access to a record store that's participating and you don't get there in time because everyone else turned up and bought all the copies beforehand, then you're shit out, like you don't get to hear this type thing. I'm sure it will be released digitally at some point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that. You can't say that something being limited edition is exclusionary. I don't think.
I mean, I think definitionally you can. You can argue whether or not it's a bad thing, but like something being limited edition is definitionally exclusionary to the people that don't have access to that thing. It just depends how limited something is, you know. Mm-hmm. Like, how would you change your opinion if when you drop the next Party Cannon album, when is that happening, by the way?
Well, it's a long story, but we're waiting on art being finished. Everything else, in an absolute shocking turn of events, we are not the ones holding it up, which would shock even us.
Yeah.
No, everything was really on time. We've had a bit of a problem with the art, so we're in the middle of getting that resolved, which will be good, and then we can get it sent out to Carlos. We can have a look over it, and then start getting things printed up and whatever else. Sure. So no official release date. I'm hoping it's going to be in the next couple of months, but it's just a case of waiting at the moment.
That's a shame.
Very much so. I'm choking for people to hear it.
But when that album came out, if you only made 100 copies of it and they were only available at your next 4 gigs, like that would feel pretty exclusionary to people that didn't have the ability to be at those 4 gigs.
I'm not releasing the album as part of a drive to increase sales at my next 4 gigs, though. Specifically,
I know, but if you did, that would be pretty exclusionary.
Okay,
it feels like the wrong exclusionary. Is that a word? I'm just making words up today.
Fuck it.
I'm right with that. Fine, cool.
Anyway, yeah. I enjoyed it. I don't know how you feel about it. I'd like to hear the full album, to be honest.
Well, that's exactly the point, right? I would like to hear the full album, but not to the point I'm going to go and buy a record.
Well, I mean, you're 2 days too late anyway.
Yeah. So I would need it to be released digitally for me to be able to check it out. But if that is the case, I'll absolutely check it out. I think I'm sure I'll enjoy it. I'm sure I'll have a laugh. Speaking of having a laugh, Steel Panther parts ways with bassist Lexi Fox.
The great pandemic of 2020 to 2037 has affected us all, the band wrote. It's quite a good release, actually, what they've come out with, to say that he's leaving.
Yeah. Well, they're always in character, right? So...
Oh, yeah. It's not just that. They're always very good at playing everything to their own strengths.
Yeah.
Aye. So, in a post titled The End of the Era, the group wrote, "The great pandemic of 2020 to 2037 has affected all of us. For some, though, it has opened doors of opportunity and been a catalyst to seek out one's true calling in life. This is Lexi's story. He started his side business, Sexy Lexi's Prettiest Pets, to bring in money for Botox during the lockdown. But something miraculous happened. He realised that his love for making pets pretty was greater than his love for being pretty himself. Lexi discovered a greater love, possibly the greatest love of all. Lexi has chosen to hang up his mirror and focus on his newfound passion, making ugly dogs pretty. Anyway, after nearly 40 years of rocking together and taking Steel Panther from the Viper Room to headlining Wembley Arena, it's with heavy hearts but great heavy metal memories that we bid Lexi Fox farewell. We love you and we wish you a wonderful future putting eyeliner on chihuahuas. Steel Panther will continue to rock the world. And though we may not ever find a bassist quite as beautiful as Lexi, it shouldn't be hard to find one to match his towering intellect. Good luck and goodbye, Lexi Fox.
Yeah. It leaves. We're going to talk about another prominent band member leaving the band just after this, and I like this more, but it still does result in that inevitable, like, I wonder what's really gone on there. Like, what has to be going wrong in your life for you to decide to leave a band as big as Steel Panther?
Maybe he's just like, I've made enough money, bye.
Yeah, I guess. The reason I thought I'd report this is because I'm definitely going to be interested in who fills that spot, because I imagine it will be somebody relatively prominent. But how could it be someone relatively prominent? In the same way, like Russ Parrish, the guitar player, is Satchel in the band. For somebody prominent to come into this role and then to, have a new name and a new identity type thing. Or they could just go the route of, I think it would be really, really funny for them to continue with 3 members of the band and then to have, like a famous bass player in there who doesn't even attempt to fit in, like it just really stands out like a sore thumb. I think that would also be quite funny.
My vote goes to Nicky Six.
I think Nicky's probably got bigger fish than Steel Panther. Although Steel Panther are a pretty damn big band, Nicky Six, pretty big. I would have to throw my shout to Ben Eller. I think Ben Eller would be good in this spot. Because he is he's a great bass player. Anyway, plays bass for Andy Wood's projects, and he of course is in the band. I mean, they're basically a Steel Panther band. He is. Do you know Andy and Ben Eller's 80s band?
No.
Skank Banger. Skank Banger. And they go out and they look like that name. when they go out and play. So
when I worked in Magnum Sound, one of the reps for one of the distributors rather, locally, he played in like an 80s glam band, but it was like taking the piss to a degree. Like they'd done the music series, but it was all just in good times and jest, and they were called the Ballroom Gits.
Yeah, I like that entire scene. Like there was definitely a time in Hellcat Molly's history where the idea was to be more that than something serious, because it was fun. Old music, and old music is fun. So it'd be interesting to see who ends up in Lexi Fox's spot in Steel Panther.
Totally,
because that's a pretty cool gig. Guys, if you need a bass player,
I can do it.
Yeah,
fuck Levi.
All right, fine, Mike can do it. So speaking of other guitarists leaving bands,
I know, man. Ollie Steele quits Monuments.
Wild, right?
Aye, absolutely. I didn't see it coming. Put it that way.
Lots of speculation could go around this one.
Is there?
I think you could speculate a lot about this one.
Okay. I haven't really speculated on it in my own mind, but do tell.
Well, I mean, I just mean like that's a good position for Ollie to be in.
Oh, aye.
It's not like he's got anything else lined up, other than he's trying to release a bit more of his own music. But I don't think that's going to be as nearly as easy a ride as the Monument stuff in terms of like getting your stuff out there. With possibly a much smaller audience for it, etc., etc. So, like, and it's total speculation, but like what, personal tensions, things like that. I've seen a few people comment and go, "Oh, great! So Monuments is going to go back to just sounding like a John Brown solo project again." Yeah, definitely, because it's not, and it's worth pointing out, Monuments isn't that. But Monuments isn't John Brown's solo project. Like Ollie does a lot of the writing in Monuments as well.
Even if it was, like, it's not as if John's been writing bad stuff.
Of course. But Ollie's definitely bringing a flavour to things.
Oh, totally. I'm
Um,
not saying that there's any discredit to Ollie being in the band. I just
Sure.
mean that, like, say it as if like John Brown is not good.
Sure.
There's a reason why Monuments are a big band and why
Yeah,
John's
yeah.
a well-known name in that genre of music.
The other aspect that one might speculate on, and for those unfamiliar, John does have his own teaching website, Riff Hard. Maybe that's going to be taking up more and more of John's time, and it's going to be getting in the way of Monuments a little bit. This is all speculation. Like, there's no way for us to possibly know.
Nope.
But definitely, you can speculate a lot more about this one than you can with Lexi Fox leaving Steel Panther. So
Yeah, fair enough.
I'll let you read this quote while I have a heavy cough.
What's cracking? I'm stepping down from Monuments. It's been 10 incredible years of highs and lows, and I'm extremely grateful for the entire experience. It's been a huge part of my life, and many of the amazing memories and interactions will stay with me forever. I've been around the world a good few times and met so many inspiring people and learned so much. You can't buy that shit. Monuments is an amazing opportunity with some amazing players, but ultimately at this point in my life I feel like I've had the experience and I've said what I'm able to say musically with the group. Monuments deserve someone who's inspired and driven, and I can't offer that like I did when I was 19, so I'm making the move. I'm still going to make music and continue with my current projects and collabs, with the initial focus being more solo music. After that, who knows, the endless possibilities are really exciting. Huge thanks to the boys for being there whilst we achieved so many great things together, and special thanks to the band for rolling the dice, a little raw, mouthy teen with basically only potential to offer. I don't know about that, Ollie. It's a bit more than just potential to offer. Like everyone else, I'm more than excited to see what Monuments do next. I was a fan first, and now I'm a fan again. Thanks to everyone who supported in whatever way they may have manifested. None of this could have happened without the people behind us. Hopefully it won't be too long before you hear from me again. Till then, take care, much love, and thank you.
Yeah.
Good parting letter.
Well, I think maybe he's off to join Steel Panther.
Be a tremendous waste of his talent, but then again, it would also probably be a tremendous earner. So
yeah. So, it is what it is. I really like Ollie's playing. I like his playing the Monuments, and I like his solo writing. So, that would be cool to see. Worth pointing out, obviously, like, I know Ollie. I work with Ollie on his tabs and the Monument stuff. So take everything I say with that disclosure in there. If that impacts my opinions on this or what I know or don't know. They've also released a T-shirt, a special edition T-shirt to commemorate Ollie's leaving of the band, and it's a limited edition 8-bit style T-shirt commemorating the form of the lineup. Profits be donated to mind.org.uk. I'm going to bring this up on screen for people because it's an absolute fucking belter. There we go.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I like that.
Whoever done the pixel art did a good job.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, definitely cool. I should probably pick that up, but I'm trying to wear less metal shirts.
Straight bag.
I know.
Why?
I don't listen to fucking metal.
You do sometimes.
That's totally the wrong screen. There we go.
You big sausage.
Yeah.
Who says we're not consummate professionals, eh?
I know. Like, I would pretend that I'm going to edit that out, but that would be then we're missing the funnies. So let's not do that. Shame to see Ollie go. Go and check out that shirt if you would like to support both Monuments by repping their brand, but also supporting mind.org.uk, which is a charity to support those in need of mental health care. Something that, of course, we are big advocates of on the show. So yeah, do a good thing. Buy a cool T-shirt. Let's use that as a opportunity to spring, because with Steel Panther we talked about Lexi Fox, and they mentioned the struggles that the pandemic has caused, and then of course Ollie has left mid-pandemic. We're seeing the Foo Fighters are struggling with pandemic troubles. I guess to a degree, Party Cannon been struggling with pandemic stuff. You're getting to go out and do what I believe to be the first metal tour in the UK post-pandemic.
Yes. Say tour. It's only 3 dates. It was supposed to be 4, but
still a tour, and you're coming from a different country. So
as far as I'm concerned, I don't care, man. I get to go and play gigs for a bit. 2 of the 3 gigs have sold out already as well, which is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
So we're in Nottingham Thursday, Manchester Friday, and London Saturday. And that's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice.
But you're right, the struggle is real. We did cancel the Glasgow gig, or we chose to cancel the Glasgow gig because restrictions have changed, obviously, between England and Scotland.
Yep.
And in Scotland, all gigs still have to be seated. And
Do they?
yes,
Right,
I
okay.
don't imagine a brutal death metal gig will go very well with a limited crowd seated.
I fundamentally disagree with you on that one. I think Party Cannon fans to be able to say we went to a Party Cannon gig where it was seated. You could have even billed it as an evening with Party Cannon.
Like a jazz gig.
Yeah. That would have been fantastic. Play clean, like clean.
Chugga, 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 chugga. No.
I think that would have been hilarious. You could have even released it as a DVD. So there you go, missing all these opportunities. Anyway, so with that in mind, what would you say to Scott Ian?
He's a fanny. But I'd have said that for quite a few years. So Scott Ian from Anthrax thinks time off amid pandemic will do wonders for bands' creativity. You know what? Some bands, Party Cannon managed to write and record and release, or nearly release, an album through it.
Yep.
Probably my favourite stuff that we've done. Definitely the most difficult. So I mean, it's fucking ridiculous.
You say that every time.
It's because Chris constantly writes heavier and harder stuff.
Yeah.
It just seems to evolve. Like, and Craig, to be fair. And some of Martin's drum parts are fucking ridiculous. But we'll read the story because I think it's probably more interesting to see what else he said within that, because what he's saying there, it's not really controversial. Like, I don't think so. I think it's maybe just a bit of a blanket comment that's a bit silly.
Sure. I'm just trying to find the direct quote because of course it's Scott Ian. Therefore,
he hasn't shut up. So the world is navigating back towards a pre-COVID routine. What did you learn about yourself throughout the pandemic, both as a musician and a person, that you'll continue forward? And Scott answers, the main thing I just learned as a person and as a human on this planet is you really can't take anything for granted. What age is this cunt? He's only realising that things change? Jesus Christ. Something like this comes along and shuts the whole planet down. I don't think many people ever thought this was going to happen. Well, maybe scientists and people who have been warning about this stuff for ages. Again, bit of a stupid take. But me, as a guy in a metal band, never thought that a pandemic was going to happen and that everything you do is going to stop and live music is just going to completely stop. All the people involved, fans, crews, people who work at venues, just the trickle-down factor of live music going away. I can't imagine how many billions of dollars were lost. I'm not even talking about the actual human toll, the people who were horribly sick, people who died, people who lost people. When I think about what happened and what's still happening in a lot of places on the planet right now, it's worse now in Brazil than it ever was here in the United States, and that's a year and a half into it. You really can't take anything for granted, and you really have to appreciate everything you're doing in the moment. You could wake up tomorrow and the world is going to kind of shake its finger at you and say, nope, not yet. It really puts things, as they said, it really puts things, as they said in This Is Spinal Tap, in a little bit too much perspective.
Yeah.
Fucking, that was easy for me to read, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then...
Sorry, not to make light of a horrible situation, but I'm lucky. I stayed home with my wife and son for 15 months and there's nowhere else I would rather be. I got to take a break on a completely different side of this thing. I think for bands in general, it's going to be an amazing thing creatively, because every band is basically getting almost a 2-year break from the grind. Most bands can't ever say we are taking 2 years off. So the fact that every band got to step away for a minute to kind of clear their heads is going to do wonders for creativity.
Yeah, no.
That does nothing for band cohesion.
Yeah, it's... So the quote is, so the fact that every band got to step away for a minute to kind of clear their heads. No. The fact that every band had to step away. It wasn't a choice that people made. And I appreciate that he acknowledges that he's in a privileged position. You know, he's lucky. He got to stay at home with his wife and kids. And Scott Ian doesn't have to worry about money anyway, you know?
He's been doing all right.
Yeah, so this is easy for him. And when you're in that situation, I'm sure that is probably going to spur your creativity, because you're going to be like, oh, wait, I can't wait to get out and, you know, do the cool thing again and hang out with the guys and do the music thing. But, you know, it'll happen when it happens. And when it happens, it's going to be great. Whereas I know a lot of other people that are in bands, maybe people that rely on an income. I don't think, you know, having all of your income taken away, which the record industry has been systematically doing for years anyway, with this kind of looking at bands and going, well, don't complain about the way the record industry works. You can go out and make all of your money on the live circuit, Like, that's something that we've been telling bands for years now, that's how you make money. That they've just had that taken away. So I don't know, having your entire income taken away, or any sort of commercial viability that a band had taken away from you, I don't know if that's going to result in people instinctively going, oh, I can't wait to make another album.
Fair. It took us it was a long process for us to get through this album, not only to get it recorded, but even just practiced.
Yeah.
Because the material is pretty dense.
Mm.
And outside of that, like, even like trying to get into the practice studio was a fucking nightmare.
Mm.
Trying to find the motivation to go out into the real world when everything was locked down to get practicing, having to wait for practice rooms to open back up, not having the opportunity to spend time with people that you're used to spending a lot of time with, intimate time with.
Mm.
And by that I mean you're in each other's companies for days at a time, doing something that you both love but can be a bit stressful, and then obviously the logistics of whatever else you're doing when you're practicing or touring or gigging or whatever. It's not quite as simple as people have taken a break and they can just come back to it and have a laugh. It's just not that simple. I'd love it to be. I'd love that to be the general consensus on how we can go about our daily lives when it comes to music and stuff now, but no, things have changed a bit. I think a lot of people probably have a changed perspective.
Yeah.
And it's quite myopic and short-sighted, really, to be like, I've just had a break and I'll have a great time.
Yeah.
Some people might.
Yeah, for this to have been the case, we would not be able to see anybody either in public spheres or in our private and personal lives who has walked away from music. And I know people that have walked away from music. They won't do music anymore because it's just too volatile a place for them to be putting their hopes and dreams.
Absolutely. The saving grace for Party Cannon is we haven't tried to make it anything other than a hobby that mostly pays for itself and something that we're all passionate in. It's a passion project.
Sure.
Say hobby quite a flippant way. I don't mean it like that. It's a passion project.
Sure.
If it became something that was sustainable, brilliant. But we both know fine well that it's, unless you've got like an incredible marketing strategy, a rabid fan base, or some sort of USP that gets latched onto, then the slim pickings that you're going to ever make money on it.
Yeah. And you have two of those things.
We do. And even that, I mean, there you go. We've got two of the three that I mentioned flippantly, and yet we're getting by.
Yeah.
Not like flourishing. Musically, we're flourishing. We're sounding as good as ever, and the practice the other night was ridiculous. Last night. Like, don't think we've ever been this tight in terms of like even the run of the set. But that comes at a cost as well.
Yeah. Hellish.
Don't be a musician. Who the fuck would be a musician?
Speaking of bands that can take as much time off as they want and still remain popular as ever, Iron Maiden has premiered their first new song in 6 years, written by Smith and Dickinson. The song is called The Writing on the Wall.
Even look at wee Bruce's face in that photo.
I know. Yeah, like I heard this as soon as it came out. I would, never consider myself a big Maiden fan, so it's not like, oh, a new Maiden track's come out, can't wait to check this out type thing. But people were interested in what my thoughts on it were.
I don't like Maiden. Levi even made a pop at me. You can tell everybody that Mike was your first gig again. Prick.
Go on, tell everybody. What was your first gig?
Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Mate, it was It was the 8th of December 2003. Funeral for a Friend supported them, and it was in the SECC in Glasgow. It was a matter of life and death tour. No, it wasn't. What was it? It was a matter of life and death, sorry.
Yeah. I tease you because teasing.
No, it wasn't. It was Dance of the Dead.
Teasing's fun, but it's not. It never really feels like or counts as repetition on a podcast because we have to assume that we have new listeners. So
no, totally. I'm just been a wind up.
People that didn't know that. So if you didn't know that, there you go. You learned something new. If you've been listening for a long time, you probably knew that and probably went to make a cup of tea when Mike was telling you that.
And even more interestingly, right, what fun is this podcast if we're no bamming each other up?
Absolutely. What fun is life without bamming everyone up?
All right, that's it.
Yeah.
Look at Levi taking the standard white cis man approach. I'll just devil's advocate on the internet.
Yeah, my favourite. No, but I do it properly. So
to be fair, you usually do make a good argument. So it's not just well, actually, what about this?
Yeah. So Yeah, but I had Mike listen to the track beforehand. For anyone that hasn't listened to it, maybe you want to pause the podcast and go and check it out. Do make sure you come back though, because we need people to listen to the podcast. Actually, this doesn't work at all if you're watching live. So if you haven't heard it, you haven't heard it.
You have heard it. It's an Iron Maiden song.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty good.
It's really good.
It's good. It's a nice tune. My comments are musically, it's really cool. There's a really long guitar solo in it, which is always appreciated. Production is pretty good.
Reminds me of Dance of the Dead.
Yeah, the music video is great. I do have some comments on that I'll go into in a second. But the only negative I have, and it's a sad negative, right? It's like Ozzy. It's like the last Ozzy album, right? The reason I hated the last Ozzy album is because Ozzy sounds like a really old man. He sounds like a frail old man that's not in control the way he used to be. Now Bruce isn't quite that bad.
No.
But he sounds like an old man, and that's sad, isn't it? You hear that and you're like, oh, the passage of time, it gets us all type thing. He doesn't sound bad, but you'll know what I mean when you listen to the track. You're just like, oh, he's getting on a bit.
To be fair, like when you put it on for me, you did say, listen, Bruce is sounding a bit old.
Yeah.
And we both agreed, yep, but he has absolutely still got it.
Oh, yeah, he's still great.
It's only really when he goes into those like crazy top end falsettos, or the belts rather, that you hear that. It's more, I don't know, like breathy than it ever has been before.
Yeah.
Is that a fair way to put it? I know usually it belts, but it's a bit more kind of up there.
I just picture someone being pushed off a cliff.
Pretty much.
That again for us? Yeah, not the worst impression there. The music video, like I say, is really cool. I do really like the music video, long animated thing. And got to respect like bands putting in that level of effort and money, like big money to do something like this. It's a 6.5 minute animated video.
Splash in the pan for these boys.
Yeah.
Probably Bruce done it himself.
Yeah, fair point. My comment or criticism is when Eddie is finally introduced in the video as like this samurai version of himself, he's in this like weird 3D render when everything else in the video is in like a really cool cartoony 2D style, and it just looks a little bit odd, a little bit out of place. I don't think it needed to be that way. And there's a little twist at the end, a little symbolic twist at the end, if you like, which I didn't really see the point in. Like, I hate twists. And twist doesn't even feel like the right word, but like, turns for the sake of turns.
I like it. I think I'd need to pay more attention, watch it a few times to be like, oh, I like how that fits the theme or it doesn't. But on first view, just taking it like sort of popcorn watching, not paying too much attention or analysing it, I thought it was a really cool music video. Yeah. I don't quite agree with you that it doesn't fit the change in animation styles almost, or the blend rather, because I know what you're saying, like everything else, every other part of the animation is one style and then Eddie's another, but also we are watching a fake daft character drive about looking like a Spawn character with a samurai sword that glows blue on a chopper through the desert, fighting God knows, you know what I mean? So I don't mind there's a wee bit of a immersion being taken away there. Shall we say?
Think, like from a creative perspective, I would wonder what the decision there was. Like why when they were storyboarding this, they go, oh, when we do like Samurai Eddie, let's make him like not look like he fits in with it, because it's not like there's multiple Eddie characters. He has a band of motorcycle gang members that are all clearly Eddie characters. They're all still in the 2D style. So it's just a strange one for me, but still, like I say, good tune. Go and check it out. Nice to see that Maiden are still doing their thing and sounding pretty good. Good lads. Good boys. Keep it going.
And again, it sounds like I'm filleting him audibly, but Bruce Dickinson, despite sounding a wee bit old, still has it. Yeah. He does.
Yeah.
Man can still belt. So he can.
Let's do this one.
Cool. Former Sex Pistols suing Johnny Rotten over TV show song rights. Ooh.
Yeah, right.
Scroll down, I'll just read and then we'll go through it.
Sure.
2 former Sex Pistol members are suing singer Johnny Rotten over whether the influential punk band's songs should appear in the upcoming Pistol, an FX series portraying the English rockers' 1970 ascent. As reported by Associated Press on Thursday, July the 15th, the legal quarrel arises from the Sex Pistols alumni's stalemate on the issue. Guitarist Steve Jones and drummer Paul Cook want to include real Sex Pistols recordings in the Danny Boyle-directed show. Rotten, whose real name is John Lydon, does not.
What's that all about? I actually thought it would be the other way around.
Because he's a big arsehole. He's now fucking the least punk man on earth doing adverts for fucking butter and shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, this is a man that will take money. Like, why on earth would John not want to have his music in this? Because surely the reason is it's either they don't want to pay us enough, which I imagine will be the case.
John probably just doesn't want to share the money.
Yeah.
Either that or he's just been twisted and set in his ways and been an old dick.
Yeah.
Which probably would be par for the course.
Yeah.
Lydon, who also the creative force behind Public Image Limited, made his stance abundantly clear in April when he called the imminent retelling a disgrace. He went on to say, "I think that's the most disrespectful shit I've ever had to endure. I mean, they went to the point to hire an actor to play me, but what's the actor working on? Certainly not my character. It can't go anywhere else but court." True to his word, the matter has indeed landed on the bench. But Edmund Cullen, a lawyer for Jones and Cook, argued in London's High Court on Thursday that a 1998 band agreement gives licensing request decisions to all former Sex Pistols under a majority rule basis. Cullen also said Jones and Cook have support from the band's former bassist Glenn Matlock and the estate of late member Sid Vicious. But Lydon has rejected requests to use the group's song and pistol. It isn't going to happen, the singer said of the show overall in April. Not without a huge, enormous fucking fight. I'm Johnny, you know, and when you interfere with my business, you're going to get the bitter end of my business as a result. Fucking, the more I read, the more I hate him, and I already just cannot be arsed with the cunt.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. Cullen added this week that Jones and Cook currently have a brittle and fractious relationship with Lydon. Mark Cunningham, Lydon's lawyer, argued in court that Pistol portrays the singer in a hostile and unflattering light. Funny that.
Yeah.
The series apparently
also known as an accurate light.
That's it. The series apparently at one point describing him as the annoying little brat with the great bone structure who's always asking for more. Probably the best description of him on earth. I'm not going to read the rest of it. Fucking what arsehole, man.
Yeah.
I bet that's what it's been. Just him, I'm in control and that's it. Just being a wee prima donna.
Yeah, it sounds like his issue with it is I don't like the way you're portraying me. I don't like the way you're talking about me. I don't like,
Stop being honest. Stop it. Don't portray me in a bad light. I'm not a bad person. I'm not accountable for the things I did and how I acted.
It surprises me though, because like if there, what was the quote that they used? If there is a 1990, yeah, I mean they've even dated it. So a 1998 band agreement which gives licensing request decisions to all former Sex Pistols under a majority rule basis. There's no case here then. Like unlucky Johnny, maybe shouldn't have signed that agreement in 1998.
You piece of shit.
Yeah, strange one. I mean, I'm not really interested in watching this show.
Nah,
I don't really care about the Sex Pistols.
I might watch it after it's been released if the music and that's in it, just because I know it would annoy Johnny Rotten.
Yeah, fucking embarrassing. Never been a Pistols fan, but I'm sure some of our viewers are probably Pistols fans, or not. I know my parents were certainly Pistols fans, so maybe it's just old man music that no one really...
Old man yells at cloud.
Exactly, my favourite. Let's talk about this new Boss guitar then. So what's the story here, Mike?
A very interesting guitar that when I saw it, I just thought, there's a sewer, but not quite. So Boss, in their infinite wisdom and continuing dedication to giving us more tech than we need, have released the Boss Urus GS1 electronic guitar, not electric guitar, electronic guitar. And to be fair to them, it's a pretty good looking Super Strat, 24 frets, 2 humbuckers, a nice trem, nice wee headstock. Like I say, just looks a bit kind of like a sewer or something, but comes with some special effects built in, or rather some special hardware. Do you want to go to the page and I'll just read it off? Because I don't remember exactly what the specs are.
I'm just giving people an opportunity
that are
watching to see it.
Well, there's definitely some technological wizardry going on underneath, as you can see by the very, very busy control panel under the back. I don't know what your man's saying.
But I know what you mean about the like just.
It also looks a wee bit like the Ibanez had an RG that had MIDI.
Yep.
A couple of years ago, and looks very similar to that in terms of the 4-knob layout or 5 knobs and switch. I don't know if anybody spotted it there, but the wee expression pedal of some kind. A Boss one lit up at the sides.
What's that?
It's a wireless. You look at it?
Damage on these frets.
No, it's a reflection of the string, like the shadow.
Yeah, okay. I couldn't tell that the other strings were there. I thought
because they're quite thin.
Yeah, and then I'm sitting and thinking to myself, why would they show me the neck with only 3 strings on it?
I mean, this might sound like it's being critical. Maybe I'm just being stupid, but it's not the cleanest fretboard.
No.
It's definitely the cleanest strings. I get they probably had somebody playing the guitar, which is good, but maybe it's a stupid fucking comment to make.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about this. So, the cutting-edge Boss electronic guitar crafted in Japan for bold sound innovators. Seamlessly switch between synthesizer and regular guitar sounds. 6 onboard memories for storing different synth sounds. Premium playability with 24 fret neck, compound radius rosewood fingerboard, and offset double cutaway body design. 2 custom designed pickups and a 5-way selector switch. A Goto 2-point tremolo bridge and locking machine heads. Independent 1/4-inch outputs for the synth and the regular guitar sounds. Deep editing of synth sounds via a dedicated app for iOS and Android devices. An onboard Bluetooth module for connecting with the editor app, and the optional EV1WL wireless MIDI expression pedal. USB for system updates via a Mac or Windows computer. Synth engine runs on 4 AA batteries or an optional PSA series adapter, and a high quality gig bags included. Pretty...
No thanks.
I was going to say, it's pretty impressive tech, but at the same time, until you see it in full effect, is it going to be good or not? I mean,
it's just been tried a million times. Maybe not a million times. I mean, definitely not a million times. But you know what I mean? Like introducing loads of technology into guitars. I know, again, I'm going to sound like old man shouts at cloud. Now is the time. Maybe now is the time where things like this take off, right? But if you go back, you think of like the Line 6 Variax stuff, technology that didn't take off. You had the Gibson guitars with the fucking Ethernet cables in them. You know, didn't take off. The Firebird X didn't take off. You could think of the
Gibson robot tuners.
Yeah, the Korg Chaos Pad type stuff. You had the Ibanez model just a couple of years ago that had the Korg thing inbuilt into it, and not only have none of these taken off and become sort of standard, but nobody other than Matt Bellamy ever use any of it. You know what I mean? And I think there's a bunch of people out there like that could probably make really, really good use of stuff like this. I can imagine like Wes Borland using some of this technological stuff and doing some cool stuff with it. But
meanwhile, he's kicking about with a 4-string PRS.
Yeah. Because, you know, the guitar is a very, very rootsy instrument. And I just don't know if it marries all that well with this. Sorry, my throat is terrible today. I don't think it marries all that well with all of this with all this technology. I can't believe I didn't mention all the vast array of MIDI pickups that have been doing the rounds for years, and the Roland synth stuff. Like,
well, you need to remember that Boss is Roland.
Yeah.
So that'll just be a hex pickup as it is. But the point is, there's other features like the wireless expression pedals, a pretty cool thing, but also probably going to be an absolute fucking nightmare, if I'm totally honest, because Bluetooth isn't a great way to connect to things. It has latency, and it's a very short range, and it can be interfered with pretty easily.
Right.
I do like this, right? I like that it's got a trem. That's quite cool, and it's not got a visible hex pickup. But I agree with you as well that it's very much a niche a niche instrument for somebody. I suppose the cool thing is this has got all the synth stuff built into it. You're not talking about a MIDI out.
Yes.
You've got an actual audio out in the processors inside the guitar.
Yeah.
So that, if we see that working and it's pretty cool, I think will be very interesting. I think having to plug your guitar into power it's a bit fucking stupid. Definitely a risk of introducing mains hum or whatever else. Some sort of ground lift or whatever. But the best example of this kind of blended tech I've ever seen, certainly in terms of actual workability, but the compromise being the amount of fucking cables you had to use with it is the golden LGXT. You remember that?
Yeah.
That was the one that had the magnetic pickups. It also had a piezo bridge output and a hex pickup, and you could run all three at the same time and blend as you wanted. There's only really a few uses, I think, where these applications are actually really good and can come in super handy and functionally not redundant. Like, you know what I mean? I don't get anybody that's going to choose a guitarist with a synth pickup over a synth player.
Yeah.
But if you're a small wedding or function band,
Sure.
you don't have great options. Bill, God rest him, when I worked at Magnum Sound quite a few years ago. In fact, this would have been when I first worked at Magnum Sound, so it would have been 2006, 7, 8, maybe before that. He had a Strat with a hex pickup and the bridge. Roland one, funnily enough. And he used that Strat for the wedding gigs and the Kayleys they played. And I remember specifically him playing the organ part for Walk of Life on the guitar, on the Dire Straits tune.
Sure, yeah.
And then just jumping into the actual guitar part, and then when he wanted to play the wee lead bit, he would just synth on and play that, which was cool. I think in those applications it can be a really clever tool, but it's just not widespread enough, I think, unless you're just looking to make crazy noises or whatever.
Yeah, I do kind of I agree with you on that, actually, like a wedding band thing or just a pub covers band thing. If you're doing things like the Final Countdown, you'd need two guitarists, of course, but it'd be nice for you to be able to switch this on and use a synth sound to get the main fill. But then again, just at the same time, and it's easy for me to say this, right, because I've learned how to play piano, learned how to play keyboards, but buy one of these or just learn how to play and just have a keyboard on stage just to play that part.
That's it. Even just get yourself a wee shitty MIDI one.
Yeah.
So, the mind boggles. It's solutions for problems that don't exist.
Yeah, I mean, part of me does want to say, like, I think that they're trying to innovate here. They are trying to do cool new things. But yeah, there's always that question of like, it's the Jurassic Park quote, isn't it? You spent all the time deciding whether or not working out what you could do.
You were too preoccupied trying to work out if you could rather than if you should, or something along the lines.
Yeah. Well, our quoting is terrible.
Yes.
But you get the idea. Like, yeah, cool, you can do this. Should you have? Well, don't take my word on this. Don't take my opinion. Let's see how it sells.
Yep.
That's just not going to do
I mean, I've got to hand it to them. It's a good-looking guitar.
Yeah, it's not a bad-looking guitar. I'll give you that.
I think for the amount of shit that's going on with it, it could have been an absolute monstrosity, but it just looks like a Super Strat.
Yeah.
So, kudos in that regard.
Fair play. Like when Line 6 did the Variax, it looked too much like a Variax, and when they did the James Tyler Variax, it still looked not like a...
They were both clatty. That's just say it.
Okay, 2 more stories.
Ed Sheeran wants to make a death metal album. Danny Filth responds.
Your friend Danny Filth.
Danny that's not in a death metal band.
Yeah.
I mean, Cradle of Filth and Slipknot, neither of those bands are death metal, but we'll leave that to Ed. Pop star Ed Sheeran, despite his sultry sweet voice and knack for catchy choruses, began his journey into music like so many of us on the dark side, hacking his way through metal riffs on the guitar in his bedroom. The singer, best known for the xylophone-laden hit song Shape of You, is that really his biggest song? An awful feeling that isn't he? That We Found Love, or whatever the fuck it's called.
Thinking Out Loud?
Thinking Out Loud, that's the one, like, total, ultimate, everybody in their fucking granny hit at their wedding. So I don't think Shape of You is the biggest song. He's got quite a few big songs.
Well, we can quickly check this one.
Yeah, have a wee look.
I'd be interested to know.
I would say
reading.
Bloodstream as well. That's a pretty big one. Did we Chasing Status? Not Chasing Status. You did it yourself. Talking shite. Bad Habits, the newest one.
No, it's not the highest listened. So Shape of You.
Shape of You is the most listened.
Yeah.
Is it? It must be. I will. I mean, who cares? that's how I feel about Ed Sheeran, sadly.
It does have a good billion more streams than Thinking Out Loud.
Pretty ridiculous, to be fair.
Yeah. Good tune.
So known for the Shape of You, he has discussed his love of metal before. In 2018, he mugged for a photo with Korn guitarist James Monkey Schaefer while attending a Marilyn Manson concert. And a few years before that, he sang a version of Iron Maiden's Run to the Hills on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. But to my knowledge, this is the first time Sheeran has spoken about his desire to make metal himself, or any desire to make metal himself. Chatting with The Sun, boo, The English-born singer elaborated on his early fandom of metal, saying, "I was really into death metal as a kid. I listened to Cradle Filth and Slipknot and all that stuff. I'm not saying I could ever step into that world. I learned all these riffs on guitar as a kid. That's something I've never thought about doing, but something I would not be opposed to creating." So he didn't say anything about a death metal band. They've just misrepresented what he said. You know what I mean?
I mean, he used the word death metal, and I think
No, my point is they're saying he wants to make a death metal
Sure,
album.
yeah,
He's been like,
yeah.
I've never thought about it and I'm not against it.
Yeah.
Oh, he really wants to do it.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. Sheeran's metal project isn't exactly around the corner. Indeed, it's unlikely it'll ever happen because you're talking shite.
Yeah.
And naturally, we've got to take issue with the use of the phrase death metal, which describes neither of the two bands he name-checked. The only thing in this article so far that I agree with, metal sucks.
I hate this. I hate this more than life itself.
What, gatekeeping?
Yeah, because this is like, we know what we're talking about. The thing that's really important here, I mean, it's them that picked up on the word death metal.
Mm-hmm.
They picked up on that, right?
Yep.
It's so important when you're having a conversation with someone that you try and interpret what it is that they're saying rather than the words that they're using. It's the meaning behind the words that he's using that matters, not the words that he's using, right? So if he said, "I was really into death metal as a kid," and then left it as that at that, then that paints a certain picture. When he then goes on to talk about Cradle of Filth and Slipknot, you have a better understanding of what he means when he says death metal. In the same way that my dad grew up listening to the Pistols and all of those punk bands, and then when he started Extreme Noise Terror, those guys just called that punk and hardcore. And like now, Metal Sucks would do the same thing, where they'd be like, if I'm really into punk music, I like Extreme Noise Terror. Metal Sucks would be like, the only thing we take issue with there is Extreme Noise Terror, not a punk band. Like, let's go on what the person talking about. Let's try and interpret what they fucking mean. We know what Ed means, but continue.
You alright, son?
I don't know. What would we call Cradle of Filth?
Black metal. Definitely.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
Symphonic black metal.
Yeah, go
Up there towards Dimmu Borgir, but not quite as extreme with the fast stuff.
Yeah.
But that's more of that. Slipknot probably come under new metal, to be honest. Definitely the heavier side of new metal, but they're not death metal, I don't think. Unless we're talking about Iowa, which
exactly.
is
So they've got
heavy.
they've got some death metal influences on there, but
Definitely.
Yeah, not full on.
Oh, I'm not knocking them. I'm not saying they don't fit in that genre.
Sure.
There's no metal. I'm not being a fucking metal fascist, but that's it's an interesting one. How people put bands in certain pedestals and whatever else.
Yeah.
Anyway, that said, I'll give him points for referencing Cradle of Filth instead of Godsmack, and those riffs he learned as well as some Slipknot material aren't necessarily easy. Sheeran gets a few metal cred points here from the Metal Sucks Mansion overlords. He never played any riffs for you, so how the fuck?
Yeah.
Cradle of Filth namesake and frontman Danny Filth caught wind of the Sun story and offered his take on the situation in a post to social media, saying, "I'll believe it when I see it. Fellow Suffolk lad can come good in the end. Dracula's Castle on the Hill, anyone? That is a shite patter. Sorry, Danny. Get a grip."
Yeah, bless him. Bless him.
Look, it just seems to be taken too far.
It's all just an opportunity to just have a story and use it for your own PR, isn't it? Like, Ed makes a passing comment, and then Metal Sucks and the Metro and whoever are like, take the quote out of context. Ed Sheeran gonna release a metal album because that will get clicks.
It'll just be Ed's marketing team because he's got a new single out.
Yeah, but then Danny feels like, okay, well, I can get in on this and get a little bit of attention out of this as well. Like, yeah. So Ed Sheeran's not going to make a death metal album.
Good.
Mark my words.
Good.
Ed Sheeran is just not going to make a death metal album, because how would he make a death metal album? Like, the Ed Sheeran death metal album, would he be the singer on it? Because he talked about playing that stuff on guitar. At no point in there did he say anything about like, I used to love singing like that.
It's just the worst clickbaity journalism.
Yeah.
Constant.
Yeah.
I'm fucking sucky at
All right.
Stayed my nut on.
Let's finish up with another story which uses Ed Sheeran as the face for it, even though he's not really in the story. MPs call for a complete reset of music streaming to ensure fair pay for artists. Here we go again. In fact, guess what?
What?
Guess who just did an interview with Ashley Janner?
Who's Ashley Janner?
We talked about her on the podcast. The entitled Spotify artist.
Yes.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm working on a video to throw that up in.
Ooh.
Not just the interview. I want to talk about streaming and shit like that.
This is the person who was mocked pretty much publicly.
Yeah,
Aye.
yeah. It didn't go as well as I was hoping it would. We'll see. We'll see that. Because it was just that idea that we were talking about on the podcast where I had my mind changed about streaming and like I'd be happy to pay $9.99 plus a cent for everything that I listen to. Right. So I'm talking to Ashley. And I talked about doing the poll on the podcast and seeing that 89% or whatever of our listeners all pay for their music streaming, and I was like, I assume with your audience you'd find it would be the same, and I was like, and obviously like I pay for music streaming, and I'm sure you do too. And she was like, oh no, actually I don't. I'm like, right, okay, cool, fantastic, really helping your cause here. And then later on, when I talked about the idea of like, how would you feel then about paying $9.99 a month plus a cent on top of that for every stream, essentially not knowing how much money you'd be spending every month. Like I'd be okay with that because I'm in a position where I can do that, and I'd feel good knowing that the money was going to the artists. How would you feel about that? And she was like, yeah, I probably wouldn't be up for that. I'm like, fucking
Really?
All right, fantastic. So,
oh my god,
yeah,
try to make her the patron saint of fixing the fucking problem with Spotify, and she's not willing to play the game.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, at least she was honest.
Absolutely, yeah,
right?
Absolutely. So I'm not going to bury the interview or anything. And she definitely had some good conversations. She had some nice ideas in there. But it kind of falls in line with that point of like everybody has to be on board for stuff like this to change. So MP, and without even reading this story, I can tell you that MP's making a call for a complete reset of music streaming to ensure fair pay for artists. It's just not going to happen. And do you know why? Because all of these artists that are complaining about this, they've not had their music stolen. Spotify haven't just taken their music and played it, right? Every single one of these artists agreed to the terms of the deal that they made. And you just can't agree to a deal and then go to your MPs and go, but I don't think the deal's very fair. Just don't accept the deal. Just don't put your music on Spotify. Just don't put your music up for streaming. See the DG's album? It's not up for streaming. I mean, it'd be very embarrassing if it is up for streaming, right? But you know what I mean. It
will be at some point, I think.
Yeah, do it that way. Make your money from things and then stream it. Like MPs have got no MPs, British MPs have got absolutely no business telling a Swedish company.
Daniel Ek is Swedish, I believe.
Yeah, I assume they're a Swedish company though.
I think so.
They've got no business trying to tell a Swedish company what they have to pay people. It's just not going to happen, is it?
They're also politicians. They're nothing to do with the music industry.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I put this up because I thought it was actually pretty funny. Will we read through it and then I'll give you my hot take on it?
Yeah, please do.
The music industry is weighted against artists, with even successful pop stars seeing pitiful returns from streaming. A committee of MPs has said they're calling for a complete reset of the market, with musicians given a fair share of the $736.5 million that the UK record labels earn from streaming. That's pounds, by the way. In a report, they say the royalties should be split 50-50 instead of the current rate where artists receive about 16%. The findings came after a 6-month inquiry into music streaming. While streaming has brought significant profits to the recorded music industry, the talent behind it, performers, songwriters and composers, are losing out, said Gillian Knight, MP who chairs Parliament's Digital Culture, Media and Sport Committee. Only a complete reset of streaming that enshrines in law their rights to a fair share of the earnings will do. You are a political dreamer, son. Gillian.
I'm going to bring up this wee diagram here, right? So they have a chart here, and it's showcasing there is a shown growth in music here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of where money comes from. And it's showing that streaming in 2011 was insignificant, and streaming has become massive. It's become the majority of money made in music in 2020, while seeing that the physical sales have gone down, right?
As have downloads.
Yeah, but what they're not taking into account, I think, is the percentage. Like, sure, this accounts for more money than physical sales, but it also accounts for considerably more use than physical sales. Mm-hmm. It's not like if this green bar were to be the same as this yellow bar, that they would account for the same amount of people listening to the music. You know, this yellow bar is 1,000 times more people than the green bar if the green bar was the same size. So it's not really massively used. A bit, it's statistics and data, isn't it? Anytime you do this, it's very easy to draw your data up in a way that represents the point that it is that you want to make, that kind of obfuscates a point.
A confirmation bias kind of thing.
Yeah. So anyway, continue.
My take on, you want me to read it or do you want me to give my take?
Yeah, I want to see where
the findings will be seen as a victory by pop stars like Mick Jagger, Paul McCartney, Melanie C, Will Fallis and Jessie Ware. Mick Jagger and Paul McCartney and Melanie C don't need to worry about money. Who recently called on the Prime Minister to reform the way musicians get paid when their songs are streamed. Musician Tom Gray, whose #Broken Record campaign prompted the inquiry, said he was overjoyed by the findings. It feels like a massive vindication, he said. They've really come to the same conclusions that we've been saying for a very long time. The BPI, which represents the UK recorded music industry, was more cautious. It said streaming was enabling more artists than ever to earn a long-term sustainable income. Alright. And that new policies should be properly examined to ensure against unintended consequences for investment into new talent. How do artists get paid at the moment? At present, Spotify is believed to pay between 0.002 and 0.0038 pence per stream. Pounds, yeah. But still like a fraction of a penny in it.
Yeah. It's my understanding is it's much closer to that 0.038, so it's under half a penny per stream.
Yeah. Well, Apple Music pays about 0.0059 pounds. YouTube pays the least, about 0.00052, or 1/5 of a pence per stream. Not 1/5, sorry. 5% of a pence.
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous, man. Fractional pennies.
Apple Music has put theirs up now, or is putting theirs up, and it will be at 0.01. So they will be paying a cent per stream.
Right, okay. That's good. All that money goes to rights holders, a blanket term that covers everything from massive record companies to artists who release their own music. That money is then divided up between everyone involved in making the record. Often, the recording artist will only receive about 13% of the revenue, with labels and publishers keeping the rest. No shit.
Yeah.
I think we'll just skip that bit.
I mean, I want to bring it up for people just because I say this all the time, right? People need to understand how the music business works, especially if they're going to be sharing stuff like this on social media. I've seen everybody sharing this story as like, things are going to be fixed now. But these are people that just don't understand how the music industry works.
Or politicians.
When PRS were talking about introducing a fee for live streams, people were against that. And it's like, motherfuckers, that's how the industry works. If you want to put on a gig somewhere, the venue has a PRS license. And it means that people that are members of the Performance Rights Society are getting their royalties from live performance. It's an important part of how the fucking industry goes around. So when shit like that happens, for you to be like, no, this is bullshit. It's just more people. It's like the Ashley Janner conversation where I tried to have with Ashley, and also we said it on the podcast. Like, not enough people in this industry understand how business works, and this is why you only get 13% of the royalties, because these are the fucking deals that you've made. And the only way that you can move away from that and improve upon that is to understand the business better and to make better deals for yourself.
It sounds to me like people who would be angry at paying union dues and then don't understand that if everybody joined the union, paid their dues, then everybody would be better off.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking stupid.
Yeah. So go on then, give me your hot take.
This is nothing more than absolute nonsense, because as much as the MPs and politicians in general, not career politicians, that sounds really pointed, but politicians in general, there might be some out there who do want to bring effective change and good change to the UK and for people and their welfare and their income. The mention of we'll do this and we'll do that and we want to do this and we've checked this and we've checked that, it's just polling data for them. It's who's going to vote for us based on what we're going to say. I don't believe for a second this is going to be followed through on at all, even if it did come from like a digital media's fucking committee.
You're absolutely right, it's not going to be followed up on, and the reason it's not going to be followed up on is not, I mean, sure, they don't care, right? I'll absolutely give you that. The reason it's not going to be followed up on is it can't be followed up on.
That's what I mean. They're not.
This also isn't actually, when you think about it, MPs call for a complete reset of music streaming to ensure this has actually got fuck all to do with streaming, because the issue that people are raising here isn't how much money Spotify pay the streaming service, the revenue, how much, because this revenue, I'll bring it up for people. This revenue here, this is what's generated from, let's say, Spotify, right?
Yep.
And then how that is divvied up among different areas is then, this is the level that the MPs are sorting to deal with, not this revenue part. The issue that seems to be raised is that labels get the money and then the artists don't get enough of the money from the labels. And again, what are MPs going to do about that? They can't go and change the record deals that you signed as artists. They can't change those. There's no changing those. You don't like the 13%? Don't sign the fucking contract. The reason you signed the contract at 13% is because you convinced yourself that it didn't matter. You convinced yourself that having that record deal was more important to you than making sure that you were fairly compensated for the deal that you were making. You thought 13% of millions and millions of pounds was going to be worth your time, and it absolutely is. But now you're getting that 13%, you're like, hang on a minute, I'm not getting as much money as I'd like to. Well, sorry, that's the nature of the record industry. I don't like it. I'm not standing for the record industry. Let me be really clear about this. That's the deal that you made. Learn from it, and in future, make better deals. Don't expect the government to retroactively change a deal that you made with a record label. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not just the record label, but obviously the streaming service as well. But they're just getting shot at. It's like somebody with a shotgun just blasting. Who's to blame? Like that. It's not a solution. It really isn't.
Everybody is to blame. The artist is to blame for making bad deals.
Yes.
Okay. The label is to blame for offering such bad deals and having no sense of conscience about it. The streaming service are to blame because they don't create enough revenue so everybody can make a good amount of money. And one could argue that they take too much of that revenue for themselves. But the subscribers are just as much to blame as well because they're not willing to actually put enough money into the industry for the music that they listen to and enjoy. As I keep saying, and as I said in this interview with Ashley, more than 50% of Spotify users, including Ashley Janner, don't subscribe to Spotify. They're not paying premium members. So where the fuck do you expect this revenue to come from? I'm sure we can get around that by acknowledging that we're talking about percentages rather than actual numbers. 13% of not very much is not very much. 13% of a lot is still 13% of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what I'm getting at? Like, everybody is to blame with this. Everyone is to blame. And I feel that it's just really disingenuous for artists to be going, well, it's everyone else. It's everyone else. You are just as much to blame for this as everyone else.
It's like saying MPs call to completely reset capitalism because online stores aren't making as much money.
Yeah. It's ain't fucking going anywhere.
Yes.
Just simply ain't going anywhere.
Don't be sucked in by this clickbaity head title that there are MPs out there fighting for your financial rights. It's not going to do anything. Maybe their heart's in the right place. Maybe I'm just being really myopic here not myopic, sorry, being really just horrible and dystopian in mind that no one is your best interest at heart and it's just selfish and whatever else. But going by anecdotal personal experience, I don't believe much, if anything, that comes out of MPs' mouths. I'd much rather see what they're going to do. And so far, yeah, we've had a wee inquiry and we think maybe they should get more money. In fact, no, it's like fucking South Park. We want more money. We want that internet money.
The reality of the situation is that the deals have already been made, okay? The labels were greedy and I'm not going to say they fucked everyone else. They looked after their own interests. It's in their interest to look after their own interests, Labels made deals with Spotify and then publishers made deals with Spotify. Labels took way, way, way more money than they should have. Spotify shouldn't have given them as much money as they gave them. And when you look at this diagram, it's split into labels, streaming services, and royalties. Well, that's actually a really bad way of listing things because the labels, the money that goes to the labels is essentially royalties as well, right? The thing they've labeled royalties in here is publishing. That's the publishers. And again, people that work in the music industry that don't understand the difference between a record label and a publisher, you are helping to contribute to this problem of the shit show that the music industry is. Just look at those numbers. 15% of money, revenue generated on streaming sites goes to publishers, and 55% goes to labels. So 55% of the money goes to the company that owns the recording, and then only 15% of the money goes to the people that own the song, the intellectual property, the actual the idea, if you like. That's not right at all. It shouldn't be skewed as dramatically as that. But like I say, I don't look to MPs to fix that. I don't even know how you go about fixing that, other than, pulling out. If all publishers pulled out and were like, nope, we're not making any deals. Nope, you can't use our stuff. You can't use any of the things that we own publishing rights to. Nope, can't be done. Then things change, but MPs ain't changing shit here. So.
No, it's just not happening. It's just all fart and no shite.
Yeah.
All chat, no substance.
But what do you guys in the comment section think? Please let me know in that description box. That's not the right way of putting that. Please let us know in the live chat.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it for today. So, Mike,
pretty much, I think so. We're looking pretty good.
Did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs. Absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string. I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7, and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3, and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones. I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So, as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at both Ormsby Guitars, Rev Amplification, and VPix.
Big thanks to you guys. Thanks to everybody that's joined us as well. Hopefully I'm in the live chat. I've missed the last couple of weeks, which has been shit with work and stuff in real life. Did you make it last week?
I did.
You did? That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Hopefully yous are all here. Like, share, subscribe, come on. I've actually got something that I want to put out to everybody.
Sure.
What is your favourite underrated guitar solo that doesn't get enough credit? Can you think of any off the top of your head?
It's a difficult question just because, underrated, I think, talks about it has to be known, but people don't give it the credit it deserves. There's no point talking about a solo. Like, I always use like Scott Henderson's Dolomite. I think it's an underrated solo. More people should go and listen to that solo. It's a great solo. But is it underrated versus how many people have actually heard it? I would probably argue probably not. No.
Maybe underappreciated then, in terms of underexposed.
Yeah.
The one that's, or even like a solo from a band you don't necessarily, or musician you don't necessarily put forward as being like a solo artist,
right?
Shredder or whatever, when they just, something's just right, if you know what I mean. So mine's the inspiration being, I was listening to Sixth again recently, and I forgot how good the solo is in This Light.
Right.
And it's tremendous. It's a beautiful piece of music, and it's almost like, it puts me in mind of the music, see the piano score at the start of Evil Dead? It puts me in mind of that same kind of harmony and build and tension, and I find myself sucked in by it and not realising just how beautiful I think the piece of music is.
Yeah, so I think you've fallen under the category there of songs that aren't as widely known as they should be, so people should go and listen to it, rather than saying like, the solo on Run to the Hills is underappreciated.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah. But I mean, don't get me wrong, In This Light is a beautiful song. It's really, really good. But it was just the solo part that I think, because Sixth don't really have solo sections, certainly not like noodly big feeling parts. That one stands out to me on the album because it's such a. It's like them showcasing, well, we can do it, we just choose not to.
Mhm.
We don't have to have wank in every single song. This one fits the melody, fits the vibe, and just works.
Seeing as we're talking metal, and I was just on Facebook last night, I saw Per Nilsson had posted a video. I'm going to go with Frederick's solo on Bleed.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really underappreciated.
Oh, aye, that's fair.
I think it's a really good solo, and it really conjures up a lot of like Holdsworth vibes.
100%.
That is, you don't think of that in Meshuggah's music, and yeah, I think
even the solo in Straws pulled at random at the very end.
Yeah, in a genre where soloing is not massively appreciated, like in that really brutal heavy metal thing.
Mm-hmm. I would even say it's pigeonholed if it doesn't fit a melodic sense or a technical sense, or it isn't ripped scales and mad shredding. A lot of the time, people don't gravitate towards it. Whereas I think what you're saying, at least the vibes I get for Frederick's stuff, is it's much more to the music.
Yeah.
Even though it shouldn't fit.
Yeah. Like a weird Holdsworthian exploration of sound on that, and I kind of like it. I do appreciate it. So.
Oh, aye.
Yeah, there you go. That's my answer. But
cool.
What do you guys think? Let us know in the comment section below. Please do go and check us out on Buy Me a Coffee. Link in the description. We'll be doing a bonus episode in the next week or so, 2 weeks. Definitely 2 weeks because Mike's touring next week. We'll have a show for you next week. We don't know how we're going to do it.
I'll be back on Sunday. Yeah. We'll work it out.
We'll work it out. Don't worry about it. And we will have tales from the road. Mike will tell you what it's like going down to the hellhole that is England and Mad Max land. Mad Max COVID land, and you can tell us all about your experiences. So support us on Buy Me a Coffee. Go and grab a t-shirt on Teespring. I did get tagged. Did you get tagged in the Instagram story? Peter Rowan had. He's got the "I'm not a lawyer."
That's right.
I'm not a lawyer, just a guitar soul
Mm-hmm.
t-shirt. So thank you for the support, Peter. Yeah, all very much appreciated. Support the show. Go and support our wonderful sponsors. And Mike, until next time.
Bye, fuckers.